Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. Come on in, let's make something.
Okay, welcome back. Recently I got asked, hey, how about building a birdhouse? So today we're going to build a birdhouse. So the width of my wood's going to be 15 inches and the height's going to be 5.5. So basically these are some 1x6s and I'm going to be cutting them out. So I want to be able to put them in the same little template. We're going to do the XY from the left-hand corner. All that can stay the same. We're going to do standard, which is fastest, because all we're going to do is cut out some parts. We'll start as far over here as possible so that we can get as most out of this wood. We're going to do a box joint for the sides. So both of the front and the back will be the same. So we're going to go 0.5 up. And then we'll go, the wood's 3/4 of an inch, so we'll go 0.75 and back up 5.5.
Here you can see I speed this up a little bit. I'm just designing these box joints. I'm only using the polyline, and I design the roof, and then I go back down the other side and create this box joint, and then close it up.
Now what I want to do is I want to be able to cut two of these pieces out at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Now if we highlight that, so it's all one piece now. That's the nice thing about a polyline. Once you do your last connection, it turns it into one solid piece. Now we're going to go over here to mirror objects. So that's a bummer. So what we need to do is we need to erase this one. We're going to draw a new roof from this corner. We'll go right about there and right about there. Now we have that connected. Now what we need to do is take our scissors and get rid of this top part. There we go. So that was a little easier than I thought. Now if we highlight that, it's back to connected. Now we're going to go back to the mirror. What we want to do is we want to highlight this and we want to flip it about the job center. There we go. Okay, so now what we can do is we can actually move this one in a little bit. And we'll move this one in a little bit. Get it off of the edges. And there's our two sides of our little birdhouse. Actually, this is the front and the back. So what we need now, we need a hole in here. So actually what we should have done, let's erase this one over here. Let's finish the drawing. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put I need a hole in here for the bird to go in. So let's create a hole. I think I want it to be in the center of this little thing right here. Right there. And so let's do 1.5 inches. So let's do 0.75. So that's the entry. Now the other thing we want to do, so we need a place for the birds to stand on before they go in there. We'll do a 3/8 inch dowel. So we want the outside diameter, let's see, radius 0.75, diameter 1.5. So we're going to put in the diameter. We're going to be 0.375. Which is that's the 3/8, I believe. We want that to be right there. So you can see that's pretty close to the other one. So I think what I want to do is I want to move this one up a little bit, just a little. Okay, so there's my hole for my dowel. There's a place for my bird to go in. Now what we need to do is draw a slot for the back. So we'll go up here to polyline, and we're going to start right here. We're going to go 1/4 inch in, 0.25, enter. We're going to go 1/4 inch down, 0.25. This is basically where the bottom of the box is going to slide into. Okay, so that should be one piece right there. Now the only thing left to do on this is decide what we want to put up here in our design. So we're going to go over here to clip art. I think I want to do a miniature 3D disc actually, where we don't have to epoxy it. It'll be a little complicated, but I think it'll be small, but it shouldn't take that long to do. And so let's find a little bird. And then we're going to do a dish, so we won't be, I like doing the dish when I do the 3D. It seems to work pretty cool. Here's a little dish deer. Let's go ahead and put that one on there. Now, obviously he's too small, or too big, I mean. So we're going to go up here to this little node. We're going to hold the shift key down and we're going to get this thing pretty small. Now we're going to grab this outside one and we're going to rotate it. That's not quite rotated enough, so we'll do a little more. That's too much. That's perfect. Okay, now we're going to move this guy in there. Hold the shift key down. I don't want to be too much, but that's probably pretty good right there. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think the deer is actually okay. Okay, so that's everything we need right there. Now the only thing we need to mirror is the back. So we'll go ahead and go back over to our drawing tab. We'll mirror this. We'll flip it about the job. So now we have the back of it. It doesn't have the holes in it. It just has the slot and the outside. So let's exit out of there. So this is the back and the front of our birdhouse. So let's go over to the toolpaths. And we're basically gonna cut the slots of both of them first. So we'll highlight both of these. And we'll go ahead in here and we're going to do a pocketing toolpath. Cut depth is going to be 1/4 inch, 0.25. End mill, we're gonna let's remove that one. So we're going to use an 1/8 inch end mill. Now I'm going to specify this, so we're going to actually cancel that. We're going to edit the mill. Cancel that. Let's just remove that. We're going to select, we're using one tool to do all these, and the one I use is this one right here, bits and bits. So our first tool is going to be this pocketing toolpath, where we pocket out the center of that. We only need to do one pass because it's only 1/4 inch deep. And we'll use this offset, and all that can stay the same. Now we're going to name this front and back slot, birdhouse slot. Okay, so that's our slots, so we'll go ahead and leave that. Now we're going to go back and do let's cut these holes out next. So we'll highlight that. This will be a profile toolpath because we don't need to pocket it, we're just going to cut it out. We're going to use the same bit. Actually, we're going to edit the passes. We're going to do 3 passes. I don't like to do more than 1/4 inch at a time. Now we need to go inside this line because I'm going to use a dowel on this smaller one and it needs to fit properly. And we're not going to do any allowances because we want it to be pretty tight. We're going to add tabs to that. So we'll look at the tabs. And that's okay that where they're at, that's fine. So we'll go ahead and close that. Now we're going to go down here so the tabs are on cut depth. Okay, up here we need to put, it's 3/4 inch material, but I want to make sure it goes all the way through. So I'm just going to put 0.78. So it's going to cut a little deeper. And passes are supposed to be 3. And we got the right bit in there. Inside. Tabs are on. So right here we're going to put, we'll just put front holes. And calculate. So there's the 2 holes. Okay, we'll close that. We're done with that. Now we're going to go back. Before we cut the whole thing out, we need to do this 3D thing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a roughing toolpath. And we're going to do model boundary. We're going to use the same bit to do this roughing toolpath. So we'll go find that bit. Go ahead and select that. Now, I like to do a 3D raster when I'm doing 3D stuff. It just goes back and forth. I find with softwood, if you do this where it just goes round and round, it doesn't do as nice a job. So I'm going to leave all that the same, and 3D roughing, that's fine. That can just stay there. So bits in there, model boundary. Let's calculate that. The allowance left is greater than the tool demand. Okay. So what we need to do is change this allowance. Let's not have any allowance. See if they can. There we go. Preview. I always like to preview the roughing toolpath. So you can see it left a little bit there, but okay. Now what we need to do is close that. We need to do a finishing toolpath. Actually, what we should do is we should use the same tool and cut the two things out first. So let's go ahead and we're going to group these two together. We're going to go up here and do a profiling toolpath. Now on this one, okay, that cut depth can stay the same. Edit the passes. We're going to make 3 passes. Okay. Now allowance offset. We're going to do, because we're cutting this out, and I want the side, one of the sides, whether it's the front and back or the sides, we need to do a 0.03 allowance. That allows these box joints to fit together really nice. And let's see, we're going to do outside the line. And we're going to add tabs, edit tabs, add tabs, and that's fine. Close that. I usually like to just do 2 tabs because I can snap them out a little easier. But okay, so this is going to be the profile toolpath, front and back. And let's calculate. And we know it's going to cut through, that's fine. Okay. Now let's close that. So now we have one more toolpath to do, which is the deer finishing toolpath. So we're going to go up here, do a 3D finishing toolpath. Now I have a special bit that I like to use. So let's go into the selection, and it's an Amana ball nose bit. So we're going to go down here to Amana, and it's a 46288. There it is right there. So this is I'll show you a picture of this bit right here. This one does a really nice job. So we're going to remove the other one just so it doesn't get. So here's our bit. We're model boundary. We're not going to do any offset. We're going to do a raster, which is back and forth. And we can just leave, we'll put the bit number in here, 46288. And calculate. Now we're going to preview all. So there's our birdhouse right there. So basically, that's the front and the back of the birdhouse. So now we need to do the sides. And we also, the bottom, we're just gonna take some 1/4" plywood and cut it on the table saw. So I'm not gonna bother cutting that piece out, or the roof. I'm gonna do the roof and the bottom with the table saw. So that's it for that piece of wood. Now what we need to do is close this, and we'll go ahead and save that. Now we're gonna close that. We're gonna create a new file. We're going to leave these dimensions because we're going to use the same size piece of wood, so we can just put it in our little mold and cut it out. We'll go ahead and leave all this the same as the last one. We'll hit OK. Grab our polyline. So we're going to start off. We know that we're 3.5 inches high. So we're going to start here, go up 0.5. We're going to go over 0.75, up 5.
I sped this up just so it would be, but basically it's the same as before. I'm using a polyline and I'm just drawing the opposite box joint, the opposite of the front and the back. And I just go back and forth, 0.5, 0.75, and then connect both these sides. I then center it.
Okay, so there's the side. Now we're not going to put anything on the side. We're going to keep these sides simple. So we're going to close out of there. We're going to highlight this. So that's center up and down. So now we're going to leave it highlighted. We're going to mirror it. We're going to flip it horizontally. And there's our two sides. So basically we have two pieces of wood the same size, and we're going to cut out these parts. Now okay, the next thing we do is just group these together. Go over to our toolpath. We're going to do a profile toolpath. We're going to use the same bit. We're going to change the passes to 3. Hit OK. We're going to add tabs, so we'll add some tabs. Perfect. You see the tabs right there. We're going to put profile sides. And let's see, we don't need any allowance offset this time. And we're going to cut through 0.78. Go ahead and calculate. That's okay. And there's our toolpath. So now we have the front and the back of the birdhouse. We have the sides here. And now we can just go. No, wait, that doesn't look right for some reason. Let's preview this. Oh yeah, I guess that's right. Okay. For some reason, these box joints looked thicker. Okay, now what we can do is take this birdhouse and we'll go over to the CNC machine and cut this out.
I'm going to start by showing you the mistakes I made. This is the first one that I did, the first template. Now they're both the same both of these are the same drawing, but I made a mistake on the toolpath in the first one. Now what I did wrong was I did 2 toolpaths wrong, and the first one was I forgot to put the slot on my side pieces. So, and once you cut it out, you know, there's no way to, it's really hard to get back in there and redo those slots. So that was my first mistake. I forgot to run that toolpath. I forgot to actually draw the toolpath for the sides. So that was my first mistake. The second, actually I made 3 mistakes on this, on the first one. So the second mistake was I cut the slots for the bottom, but I did it on the wrong side. So the slot was supposed to be on the back. It's not supposed to be on the front. So that was my second mistake. The third mistake was, if you remember when I was doing the drawing, I said that on the front and back piece, I was going to do an allowance of 0.03. Now you see how tight these joints are, and they don't fit these sides. Now the reason is I put 0.03, but I was supposed to put negative 0.03, and that would have made them perfect. So anyway, yeah, 3 mistakes, but basically I went back into the program, added the toolpath for the sides, changed the allowance for the front piece, and then when I cut the slots, I made sure that it was flipped over. So here you can see that's the front and that's the back with the slots. So yeah, those are lessons learned. So right now, we're going to get busy. We're going to make the roofs and cut the bottoms, and then we're going to glue this thing together. And yeah, fun little project. Yeah, let's get to finishing it up.
Get dough. I can't get no sleep, please make my life more simple.